Well, it turns out Pope Francis reportedly held a secret meeting during his visit to Washington, D.C. That is according to attorneys for Rowan County Clerk Kim Davis. They say the Pope met Davis at the Vatican Embassy in Washington, D.C. on Thursday and say Pope Francis embraced Davis and thanked her for her courage. Davis gained national attention for her refusal to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. She claimed she was denying the licenses based on God's authority. Davis spent 6 days in jail for defying a judge's order to issue the licenses. CBS News has reached out to the Vatican for comment on that meeting with the Pope. Kim Davis's attorney, Matt Staver, joins us now on the phone. Matt, thanks for being with us. Could you just explain, Matt, how did this meeting come about?
Well, the meeting took place on Thursday afternoon last week. Kim Davis and Joe Davis met Pope Francis in the Vatican. They had a private meeting with him, and the Pope reached out his hands. He asked Kim Davis to pray for him. She took his hands, and she said she would pray for him. That she also asked that he pray for her. He thanked her for her courage, and he told her to stand strong, and they embraced. And there was a lot of photos that were taken at the time. The photos have not yet been released, but the meeting was held in the Vatican Embassy in Washington, D.C., Thursday afternoon, about mid-afternoon, between 2:30 and 3 o'clock.
And who actually initiated this meeting request?
Well, the meeting came, from the Vatican itself, and Pope Francis. And there had been some articles that had been out even before that, had been following the story of Kim Davis, and obviously is very concerned about religious liberty, not just in the United States, but worldwide. And an invitation came from the Vatican to have Kim Davis meet with the Pope, and we did not want to release that information, nor did the Vatican up until this time, because the Vatican wanted to focus its message on a lot of issues. And at the right time, we ultimately released the information, and the Vatican gave us the opportunity to do so. And so Kim Davis was very, very pleased and really, frankly, overwhelmed with the fact that she could meet with Pope Francis, and felt that he was genuinely concerned, a very caring and warm individual, and was very much at home in the time frame that she was able to meet with him, and very much counts it as one of the highlights of their entire life.
And how long was their meeting?
Well, the meeting was no more than 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes at the most. Pope was very, very busy with his many events that he was doing, but he wanted to meet with Kim Davis and her husband Joe prior to him leaving Washington, D.C. on his trip to New York. He went from Washington, D.C. to New York, and shortly after he met with Kim Davis, he boarded a plane and went to New York City.
As you well know, Matt, there was a legion of reporters and cameras and photographers actually there following Pope Francis's every move. I'm wondering, could you just give a little bit of color on how it was she was able to sneak into the Apostolic Nunciature to have this meeting with the Pope?
Well, that's kind of interesting, and I won't go into detail as to how that actually occurred, but I can tell you that she was taken in an SUV. And she and Joe were there. She made her hair up in a different way because her hair is very recognizable from the mugshot, and so she made her hair up in a little bit different way than she normally does. And they were very discreet about having the meeting there, and they wanted to have a private meeting where it's just the Pope and Kim Davis and her husband Joe.
So she was in the back seat of an SUV that was driven to the embassy there?
That's correct.
And she had a disguise on, or it was just a different hairstyle?
She didn't have a disguise on, but she wore her hair in a different way than she normally does.
And so I know you talked about this off the top, Matt, but what was said between the Pope and your client, Kim Davis?
Well, I think the essence of the conversation was, number one, he thanked her for her courage. He obviously, in the world, is frankly aware of the fact that she has stood for her religious convictions with regards to marriage and ended up spending 6 days in jail for that. And so he began by thanking her for her courage. And he also encouraged her with these words, "Stay strong." That was the words from Pope Francis.
In English.
In English. He spoke the entire time that he was meeting with them in English.
And how far in advance did this request from the Vatican come?
Well, I won't go into detail as to how in advance it came, but I can tell you we knew in advance before his arrival in the United States that the meeting was something of interest, and on the day before it was definitively confirmed, and on the day of it was confirmed with additional details.
And again, Matt, so why the secrecy initially, and why the revelation now of this meeting?
Well, the reason why it was not revealed earlier is because Kim Davis has become known around the world, and Pope had previously planned this visit to the United States and had a specific kind of broad message he wanted to be able to present. And had we ultimately revealed it on the day, you can guess. We were dying to reveal it on the day that it actually happened, as you can imagine, but we didn't, and we wanted to keep that quiet to respect the Pope's broader message, because we didn't want the Pope's visit to be overshadowed with Kim Davis. He had a lot of different people to meet, a lot of different things he wanted to say, a lot of different messages he wanted to highlight. And we didn't want to interfere with that. And so once the Pope was able to get back to Rome and at the Vatican there, and a few days passed, then in communication with the Vatican, we ultimately were able to release today so that it wouldn't have interfered with any other kind of broader message. And, his message wasn't solely focused, obviously, on Kim Davis, but I think it is a very, very significant meeting that he did, where he had this private meeting, and I think that itself sends a huge message worldwide that he stands for the inherent right of religious freedom.
And so I just want to make sure I have this straight, Matt. You decided to go ahead and reveal the details of this meeting at this point in consultation with the Vatican. Did you have to ask for permission? How did that work?
Well, we just wanted to, we didn't want to overshadow anything that the Pope was doing or interfere with any other messages that the Pope wanted to convey. He had a pre-planned meeting with different places and different people, and with the Congress and different masses that he did. And consequently, we didn't want that messaging to be interfering with anything that he wanted to do. So out of deference for that, we kept quiet, and the Vatican ultimately had a specific theme that it wanted to focus on. Yet at the same time, I think one of the major things that comes out of this meeting is this Pope taking time out of his incredibly busy schedule to meet with Kim Davis, of all people, Kim Davis. And I think that's what she thinks, of all people, that she got a chance to meet with the Pope. And I think the fact that he met with Kim Davis sends a message that he is someone who stands with those individuals who are standing on their religious convictions. That religious freedom is a worldwide message that the Pope wants to convey.
Matt, as you said yourself just a moment ago, the Pope did come to the United States with sort of a broader message of not just about religious freedom, but he also touched on a number of other issues, including the death penalty, which, very timely today. For instance, we know a representative of the Pope's actually tried to intercede on behalf of a Georgia woman who was on death row. How concerned are you that this revelation that you have now made may overshadow some of what the other messages, the other themes that the Pope has talked about publicly?
Well, we're not concerned about that at this time. I mean, the Pope's visit to the United States, I think, was very successful, and he got his messages out and his themes out, and he's laid those out, and we've had a couple of days for those to resonate and percolate throughout the country and, frankly, around the world. And I think now is a good time get out the additional message. And frankly, if you look back at his messages, even when he was asked on the papal plane by the reporter about whether he supported religious freedom for those individuals who refused to issue marriage licenses, and the follow-up question was, even if that person is a governmental employee, and he said, yes, it's a universal human right. And there was speculation at the time, was he thinking of, did he even know about the Kim Davis situation? And the fact of the matter is he not only knew about Kim Davis, but he'd already met with Kim Davis. So he didn't completely ignore those messages. They were completely embedded in what he said. And I think now you're seeing some of the specifics where he actually took specific action to meet with some of those people like Kim Davis that were part of his overall message.
Were there any gifts or anything exchanged during this brief meeting?
Yes, the Pope gave Kim and Joe Davis 2 rosaries that he personally blessed, and it was a very special gift that they greatly appreciated, and I got a chance to see those rosaries as well, and they will cherish those. In fact, Kim's mother and father are both Catholic, and they have been Catholic for their entire life, and so Kim and Joe Davis will present those rosaries to Kim's mother and father.
And Matt, you were not there at that meeting, correct?
No, I wanted this to be just a meeting with Kim and Joe. They have been through quite a bit, and this was just a private time between Pope Francis and Kim and Joe Davis.
Matt, I know you don't want to reveal too much of the backstory with respect to logistics, but can you just give us a sense? Are we talking days in advance, weeks in advance, before this meeting actually came together? Matt, are you with us?
Yes, I would answer, but I would say...
Matt, you're breaking up just a bit. I'm sorry. Could you just please repeat that?
But I would say it was days in advance. And, of course, on meetings like this, you just never know with a busy schedule, an international focus. You don't know until, even the evening or the morning of. But it was confirmed the evening before and the morning of. But it was in the process for several days before that.
And they were in town in the Washington, D.C. area?
They were in town for the Valley Voters Summit, and so that just was a happenstance. It wasn't that Kim specifically came to D.C., although certainly she would have, but she was already scheduled to be in Washington, D.C. for the Valley Voters Summit, where she received the Cost of Discipleship Award from Perkins at Valley Voters Friday, and this meeting occurred on Thursday.
What does this meeting with the Pope now mean for your client moving forward? How has this affected her?
Well, I think it's huge. Certainly, just meeting the Pope, aside from the case, just meeting the Pope greatly impacted Kim Davis and Joe Davis. She just was moved by his gentle spirit, by his humbleness, and by his love for Jesus. She was moved by the fact that he would take time out of his incredibly busy schedule to meet with her and give her some encouragement. And I think that will be a moment that she will cherish the rest of her life. Beyond that, in terms of her message of religious freedom and marriage, I think it sends a huge message that he took time out of his schedule. Is a person who believes in natural marriage between a man and a woman and was willing to literally go to jail rather than violate her conscience and stand on her. I think that is a huge national message that resonates around the globe.
All right. Matt Staver, the attorney for Kim Davis, I thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you. My pleasure.